Hi, grade sixes. Today we're going to be looking at some suggested answers to the questions on the Swallow Whale poem. Number 1 asks, is the creature in this poem real or not, and why do you say so? So again, put the question in the answer so that you create a full sentence. The creature in the poem is, first of all, you could say it's not real. You could have used the word imaginary, from somebody's imagination. Or you could have worded it something like the swallow whale is a fantasy creature or a fantastical creature. You could have said the swallow whale does not really exist, it is made up. Okay. So that's the first part of the question. The second part of the question is, why do you say so? So you could have said a few things. Here are some suggestions. Please elaborate on the answers you do have. The animal described in the poem does not exist in nature. You could have said it's a mixture of a swallow and a whale, which we know is imaginary. There's no such thing as a mix between a swallow and a whale. We could have said the two animals are opposite. They cannot mix, a bird and a fish, or a bird and a sea creature. And then the poet combined the two to create interest. All right. So here is the blurb that was on Amazon telling us a little bit about the book, Amber Vulture Crocs. And I actually took something from the blurb to prove that the creature is not real. So if you were very clever, you might have gone back to the slide and quoted from the blurb, because the blurb says the poems contain an array of unusual animals that have never been heard of before. All right, good. The poem also mentions, you could have mentioned that the creature has wings like propellers, and I have not seen an animal with propellers, definitely not a sea creature with propellers for wings. Right. Number 2, in which ways were a whale and a swallow similar in terms of appearance and movement? Let's start with appearance first. Well, first of all, both a swallow and a whale have grey or white areas on their body. There's so much to say, so I'm just going to mention a few things that I found. Again, add to the answers that you have. You could have pointed out the obvious, that they have 2 eyes and 1 mouth, that they both have bones or organs and skin, they both have a heart, a brain. You could have mentioned they both drink water and eat food. Yes, a whale does drink water. You could have said a swallow's wings and a whale's fins look similar. They stick up from the sides of the body. And then movement. All right, so there's a difference between appearance, which is the way something looks, and the movement. So a few things. First of all, both whales and sparrows migrate. That means they go from region to region according to the season or the weather. You could have said they both move forwards. You could have said they both move in circles or have a circular movement and bend their bodies. A few people said that a whale and a swallow both seem to glide. So that means they move smoothly, could be through the air or the water. And we've seen how a swallow can push itself high up into the air using its wings, and you could see some similarity in the way that a whale pushes itself deep into the water using its fins. Any other things that you've mentioned in terms of the movement? Remember, movement means going from one place to the other. It could mean the location, the distance, the speed. Right. Number 3, like swallows and whales migrate. It says look up the meaning of the word migrate and write the definition in your book, please, and also those 3 other words, urge, doleful, and absurd. So let's start with migrate. First of all, you need to write what part of speech it forms in language. So migrate is a verb, and you could have a slightly different definition to mine depending on where you looked at the word. But something along the lines of to move from one region or habitat to another according to the seasons. We typically talk about migrate in terms of an animal, so usually a birds or fish migrate. And then there was a quote, when I looked it up, it said, as autumn arrives, the birds migrate, just to put it into context. All right, let's look at the other words. Urge. To urge or to have a urge is a noun. So an urge is a strong desire or impulse. And then there was, I put it into context there, he felt the urge to giggle. Doleful is a nice new word that I'd like you to start using in your writing and your speech. It's a very expressive adjective. If a person is doleful or has a doleful expression or a doleful face, they don't mean a doll as in a plaything, but they mean expressing sorrow or mournful. The face will look drawn, they'll look grey, they'll look pale. She had a doleful expression. So perhaps someone at the funeral of a loved one might have a doleful expression, really, absolutely in the depths of sadness. The next word was absurd. It's an adjective, so usually we describe something as being absurd. Absurd clothing, absurd phrase, an absurd sentence, an absurd hat. So something that's absurd is wildly unreasonable, it will be illogical or inappropriate. So you might say the allegations are absurd if you watch a law program. And then number 4, often whales do give the impression that they want to fly. What do we call whale behavior when they leap out of the water? So when whales leap out of the water, it has a special name. We call it breaching, breaching. So during breaching, a whale lifts its body up out of the water and it leaps up into the air. Nicely done. Now you should go to the revision work on page 90 of your textbook, and the next video will help you with that. But I hope that you go and give it a try before then. Nicely.